Knicks family, what's poppin'? Is your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, let me turn my volume up just a little bit. I got my man Ron from Still Knicks Fans in the building. We got Uncle Fulio. And yeah, we about to go ahead and get this thing popping. Ron, what's going on with you, man? How you feeling?
Can't complain, man. I'm happy to be here once again, chopping up with you fine folks. And it's always a pleasure to see Josh, a.k.a. Uncle Fulio, back in the business.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Josh, what's up,
Yes,
man?
sir. What's up, Sam? What's up, Ron? What's up, MBK family? What's up to the chat? Preseason game number 2. You know, some Knicks news we're going to talk about and get some stuff off our chest, I suppose.
Yeah, man. Let's get into some Knicks news because, you know, there's obviously a bunch of news about Karl Anthony Towns going around, right? And that he and Tom Thibodeau have patched up their relationship years ago. And, of course, you know, as always, there's speculation about Karl Anthony Towns and the New York Knicks. There's been speculation for years and years and years about Karl Anthony Towns coming to the Knicks. And, you know, there's, you know, stories out there that the Knicks are, you know, watching the situation closely. They're always watching every situation closely. But I don't know. 2 men, grown men, got together and had a conversation, Towns said, before Saturday's preseason game tonight. It was done. It was done years ago. I got no problems with Tibbs. We've been squashed that. I still look at Tibbs as one of the best X's and O's coaches I've ever been able to play for. He breathes winning, and I got nothing but respect for him. That was Karl Anthony Towns on Tom Thibodeau. You know, sounds like some, you know, sweet words right there. You know, nothing but respect for him. I mean, totally opposite of what you've heard before. You know what I mean? Then, of course, Tom Thibodeau heaped some praises on. He's always heaped praises on Karl Anthony Towns. He's been asked about him before and never really heard Tom Thibodeau say anything bad about Karl Anthony Towns. He said, watching the progress he's made throughout his career, he's as gifted as they come. When you look at an offensive player, particularly a big, the skill set that he has, I think we all saw to win the three-point contest and stuff like that. There's nothing he can't do offensively. He has continued to get better, I think. He had some injuries to deal with. I watched him playing FIBA, the World Cup for the Dominican Republic. He played really well there. He's really, really gifted. Ron, are they flirting?
Hey, man, listen, all I can say is starting power forward for the New York Knicks, Mr. Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know when it's happening, but listen, they definitely courting each other right now. Tibbs is not going to do anything to close any books on or any chapters on the reunion. And Karl Anthony Towns, there's reasons why a lot of fans aren't the biggest supporters of him. You know, he has these things that you know, idiosyncrasies about himself. He doesn't want to play center, wants to be the power forward. So we don't know necessarily the relationship over there he's got in Minnesota currently. There's some changes that have been made organization-wide. So, you know, he's not necessarily the happiest camper, I think. And I know he's not that happy because he's got Rudy, you know, bum bear over there with him. So anytime you got to play with that dude, I know you're not that happy. All right. And I only mean bum in the way he carries himself. He's a great player on the court, great defensively, great rebounder, all that good stuff. I just don't like his personality. But yeah, I definitely think they're just leaving the door open for a reunion, which is smart as a business and for a Knicks team that still doesn't know exactly who they are.
Right.
They might have to go down that Karl Anthony Towns aisle and check the box.
Okay. Josh, what do you think, man?
I think the door is always open. And listen, the Knicks are one of the few teams in the NBA that have the ability to go out and make a trade like that, right? But I definitely have some questions about it. First thing I'll say is Karl Anthony Towns is a great player. 2-time All-NBA, multiple-time All-Star. That's how he got his money. That's how he got his contract. The reasons that I have for why I don't think it's going to work has nothing to do with the contract, has nothing to do with the money, because he's a max player. He's a super max player based on his all-NBA status, right? And for people to say, well, just because you can get that doesn't mean we got to give you that. But then what's the purpose of all NBA, right? What's the purpose of that? What's the incentive for getting all NBA? He's an all NBA player. He deserves that money. So the money has nothing to do with it for me. The questions that I have are revolving around how we're going to use Karl Anthony Towns. Are we going to put him at power forward, right? Are we going to include Julius Randle in that trade? Is he that much better than Julius Randle as a power forward that you're going to give up whatever draft picks it takes to get him in the trade? Is that worth it? And how much better are the Knicks going to be with him at the power forward instead of Randle, right? If you move RJ and Mitch to get Karl Anthony Towns in here, what would our defensive backcourt, front court look like, right? As far as Towns at the 5 and Julius Randle at the 4. Is Towns even a 5, right? So there's so many questions surrounding that, in my opinion, to say, well, I don't think it's going to work. And those are like the two biggest reasons right there. And then again, if you add on to the fact that he is going to make $50-something million, which again, I'm not really worried about the money. Mm-hmm. To me, I just question whether it's worth it.
Yeah. It's very hard to say. I agree. I think he's very, very talented, right? I think he's very talented. I think people mainly question his heart, right? They question his heart. They question his drive, how much he really wants it. And I think that's the big discrepancy between him and Tibbs. How much heart does he have? Does he really want it? You know what I'm saying? And the way that this current Knicks team is built, it's all about heart, right? It's about heart. It's about how much they work, how hard they work in the offseason. And I'm not saying he doesn't work in the offseason, but, that's the way this team is built. Jimmy Butler had issues with him because of those very things, right? I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe he was younger then. Maybe he's more mature now. My questions, too, would be, though, are you moving? Do the Knicks get that much better by adding Karl Anthony Towns and, by replacing Julius Randle with Karl Anthony Towns? You know what I'm saying? Do they get that much better? Or do they basically stay the same? You know what I mean? I think that's the question. In my opinion, you would want to put Karl Anthony Towns next to Julius Randle because I think that Julius Randle Karl Anthony Towns is able to shoot the 3. Right, so he can spread the floor. So now you open up space for Julius Randle to play in the post. Karl Anthony Towns can also play in the post. The question is, does Karl Anthony Towns want to play? Would he play center? Would he play the center position next to a Julius Randle? I mean, because
there was issues in Minnesota. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. There was issues in Minnesota about that with Tibbs. Tibbs went out and got Tosh Gibson to play the 5, right? And then now you see what Minnesota's doing. They got Rudy Gobert so that Rudy Gobert can play the 5, even if. For the sake of argument, Karl Anthony Towns makes the Knicks better. How much better? Is it worth it giving up whatever amount of draft picks to go out and get him? Are the Knicks going to be so much better that it's worth giving up a bunch of capital for him?
I would say this, in my opinion, well, he makes a lot of money, and no doubt about it. But in my opinion, the Knicks only get better if he plays the center spot and Julius Randle plays the power forward. That's the only way I see the Knicks getting better, by bringing in Karl Anthony Towns. Just replacing Randle, I don't really think they get better.
Right.
I think they only get better if you add Karl Anthony Towns to this team, and then he's able to play that center spot. Then I think they really do get better if you do that because, when you look at the fact that he can spread the floor, Julius Randle, not a great 3-point shooter, but he can spread the floor too. They can both play inside. Karl Anthony Towns can rebound the ball. Randle can rebound the ball. Karl Anthony Towns can, block some shots too. I think that really does make you a pretty good basketball team, because, spreading the floor from that center spot is something that, I harp on a lot. I really do harp on a lot. And then he can do even more than that. But, would he want to play that center spot? What would he feel like? Because you'd have to look at the team. Someone would have to explain to him and look at the team and say, okay, if you want to call yourself a 5, whatever, but we're not simply just playing 4 and 5. Like, you're going to do the same things that you're doing now because of the type of team that it is. You're going to do the same exact things. You know what I mean? A lot of times Julius Randle will be inside where you're spreading the floor. You know what I mean? So it definitely could work. The Knicks have to, like, I agree though. The Knicks have to figure out, do they want to pay? Do they want the price tag? Do they? Because in order to get them, you got to give up enough money. Then of course you're going to be giving up, you know, you're going to be giving up draft picks and things like that. 52.1 million, 56.3, 60.4, and then a player option for 64.6 million in 2027, 2028. Ron, looked like you was going to say something.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I agree with you, both you and Josh, and especially what you just said. I think that's the only way I do the trade. I'm not saying the Knicks need to make the trade, but if they're gonna make the trade, because you know with these Knicks, man, when they start putting something out there and looks too familiar, I don't know. But if they're gonna make the trade, only if Karl Anthony Towns is agreeable and willing to play center.
Yeah.
In order to win in this league, you gotta be flexible. Like the coaching staff has to be flexible. The players have to be flexible and versatile. If you don't do that, you can't win in this league consistently. There's too many things that happen. There's too many things you can't account for with regards to the other teams, their defense, their strategies, as well how they approach you. You got to be able to switch stuff up when things don't work right. So he's got to be flexible with that. If he can play center, and him and Julius has to be here, because I don't like it either if Julius has to go. If they can play like a two-man game off of each other, like one inside, one outside, interchanging, switching up, that's a nightmare to me for an opposing team. And I like Josh said, they did, when Tibbs was there, they brought in Taj Gibson. Then he's got Rudy Gobert. But even, Taj isn't Julius Randle. Taj has always been a very good player, but he's not Julius Randle good offensively. And Rudy Gobert can't even, he's not even in the conversation. Yeah. So I don't think Towns has ever been in a situation where he can play off of another power forward that they both can go, in the paint or stretch the floor and really play off each other that way. So he might be a little more willing to do it. And I also kind of think that two more things real quick. One, obviously, if this trade was to happen, RJ's got to go. I don't care if you like RJ and they don't even want to put RJ in the trade. RJ's got to go, because if you have a team with Randall, Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, that shooting guard and small forward position, they got to be defensive. They and I mean, like, they got to be almost locked down defensively, because you want to stop that flow of traffic from getting to the center spot where you might lose some of that help defense that Mitchell Robinson was so good at. And, Karl Anthony Towns might struggle at. And we already know Julius does defense when Julius does defense. So I think you got to account for that and get the right pieces in those other spots to help fill out everything. And lastly, the thing I was going to say is I also think that I think that it would be really impressive to see Karl Anthony Towns showing us his maturity as to what was already said. Maybe he already has been around stuff and seen, man, I thought this would work. I thought that was crazy. And now that I've been through it all, maybe Tibbs was right. Maybe Jimmy Butler was right. Maybe, this is how you got to do things out there to be successful, because what's going on here, they're putting pieces around me and we still not doing anything. So maybe he gets it now. Who knows? We'll see.
Right. I do want to add, so in regards to the whole RJ thing, listen, everybody knows how I feel about RJ, but just from a money perspective, and as far as making the money work, it has to be either Randall or RJ in order for the Knicks to get that deal done. And, Fournier or whatever, right?
Has to be.
And then let's say you get Mitchell Robinson to a third team or something like that in order to make the money work. But Ron, you brought up an important point about the maturity and like things changing as far as from the player perspective, but also Tibbs. Tibbs wants centers that are able to be rim protectors and things of that nature. So does he kind of deviate from what he normally does from a defensive perspective, right? Because the Knicks would be getting weaker in the front court defensively, and that something Tibbs can live with. And how can he be? I think we'll be better offensively, Sam, no question. Yeah. I'm all about the offense, but for Tibbs' sake, is he willing to have that front court and sacrifice a little bit of that rim protection as well?
I think he would, because I believe, and I think he believes that Karl Anthony Towns can protect the rim, not Mitchell Robinson level, right? But can protect it good enough. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know what he averages, about one block a game?
Yeah, something like
right?
that. Give or take.
Something like 1 block a game, but he's not actually in position to be the shot blocker on the team either. You know what I'm saying? So I think he would. I think he would. We'll see if it's going to be a marriage made in heaven. And actually, Josh, I don't even know if you have to. I can understand why Minnesota would want Mitchell Robinson maybe move to a third team because they already got Rudy Gobert. But, you would probably need RJ. Well, I guess for this season, you would. If you were making a trade this season, then just 2 players can get it done, right? RJ and Evan Fournier is more than enough money because he only makes $30-something million this season. Next season is when the $50 million kicks in, right? But you'd have to move. You would want to move, maybe Mitchell Robinson too, so that you would have enough money to pay him next season. You know what I'm saying? Unless you planned on having Mitchell Robinson come off the bench and you moved some of the other guys, would Mitchell Robinson do that? I don't know. But if you were able to convince Mitchell Robinson, if you were able to convince some other teams to take Hartenstein or whatever else to fill in the money, and Mitchell Robinson came off the bench behind Karl Anthony Towns, like that'd be pretty nice. You know what I mean?
I wonder if Karl Anthony Towns is on a poison pill right now. I'm trying to figure. That's the point of his contract because his contract kicks in next year, right? The extension. So I want to know if he's on that poison pill.
He might. He could be. He could be. He could be. When was the extension signed?
Last year.
When was it done? Because that
2022.
Because that poison pill probably would have been for last year then, and maybe not this year. I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah, because it's a year from the point of signing.
Yeah,
usually that initial year, like what's going on with RJ, right?
Right. It's that year. So.
Yeah, he signed the contract July 1st, 2022.
Yeah, so I think
it might be over.
Yeah, I think that's probably over. Right. That's probably over. And again, Karl Anthony Towns makes $36 million this season. Right. So you can easily make that move happen, with a couple of players, RJ and it doesn't even have to be RJ and Evan Fournier, right? It can be RJ and, another player to make that deal happen, if you had to match money this season. So we will definitely see where that goes. I guess we'll probably be on Karl Anthony Towns' watch this season. Now, I'll tell you what, though, if the Knicks are playing really, really well, let's say they're playing at a top 3 level in the Eastern Conference, do you think Leon Rose and those guys makes the change? If the Knicks are really playing well? Or do they say,
No. Leon Rose.
I would hope so.
I know. Come on, Josh. Leon Rose. He ain't no gambler. He don't even want to talk about what he's got going on.
I know what you're saying. I'm saying I would hope.
Oh,
he
right.
makes that
Yeah.
deal. I would hope so. To me, that's more of an incentive for him to do it. I know people talk about the camaraderie. Let's see where this thing goes. But no, I mean, I think the front office knows that this team is going to be limited come playoff time. That their ceiling, they don't have that much of a high ceiling in the playoffs. That they need to make that deal, and that's what they've been gearing up for.
Yeah.
But in fairness, just as a real side, I know it's different because the playoffs is a different animal. But what happens to Sim's point? What if it extends a little bit more than just like the early part of the season, or even if it is the early part of the season, the Knicks have had a chance to play teams, not that first couple weeks, but maybe into the end of the first month, going into the second month, and they're playing some of the better teams, their better competition, and they're playing well against them. Would that lead you to believe, hey, maybe this Knicks team will be okay? Maybe the play of Grimes and quickly those other guys have stepped up. And so it shows you a little something. Yeah, at some point, Josh, people can improve.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've been saying the same story about the Knicks for years, right? I mean, we're fans, we're optimistic, and the Knicks have done well, no question about it. But to Sim's point earlier, I mean, based on the contract, what the contract is right now, you're only giving up 2 players, right? So I mean, it's the camaraderie and the all that stuff that you talk about. Is that really going to be disrupted that much?
Right.
To add a player like Karl Anthony Towns,
especially when you have other guards that can step in. You got so many guards. You got other guards that can be in there. Who knows? You know what I mean?
True.
Who knows?
True.
Emmanuel Quickly, is up for his contract extension. Just 10 days left. 10 days left. When he was asked about it, of course, he's saying the politically correct things. He said, that's where my faith comes in. Really all up to God. I'm not going to lie. I've been fortunate to not even been worrying about it. It goes days, sometimes weeks, where I just forget about all of that stuff unless somebody reminds me. So I just come in every day and trying to get better, and that's my main focus. And then Tom Thibodeau kind of backed him up on that. He said, you couldn't even ask for anything more. I think he's been able to put that contract stuff aside. I think his agents handle that. He locks into basketball, and that's where his focus lies. Team, winning. That stuff will take care of itself. But the way he comes in, the shape that he's in, what he's done, I don't care where he is in the offseason, but one thing I know, he's going to be in the gym twice a day. Doesn't matter what country it is. Doesn't matter what city it is. None of that matters. Listen, Tom Thibodeau is, he's in Emmanuel Quickly's corner. He wants Emmanuel Quickly to be on his basketball team. I feel positive about that. That's one of his guys. You know who your guys, who Tom Thibodeau's guys are because they're on the court a lot, right? So who his guys are. We've asked this question a bunch of times. Emmanuel Quickly, 21 points in the first preseason game. He shot 57% from the field. I think 38% from the three-point line. He looks stronger, still playing good defense. Is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do enough in the preseason to convince the front office to give him an extension? Or, maybe it's not even gonna depend on the preseason. They've probably been talking a little bit. Is it gonna get done, Ron, you think?
Well, I don't think the preseason matters as much, but like you said, but I do think the preseason helps. So if Quickly continues to look like he just goes out there and plays his game, like what he did the other day with the 21 points, if he's around 18, 15, and he just looks good and he's still playing defense, and I think that's going to be enough for the Knicks to say, you know what, the kid is still who he is, and he's still continuing to be that player for us, even though we still have a couple question marks about him in the playoffs. But I think if he was willing to take what they're offering, I think the deal gets done before the deadline at $80 million. Now, if him and his agent are still harping on that number going up higher, like I can maybe even see it getting done at 85. But if he wants more, I think it may go to the end of the season and he'll be stuck. But if he would take it at 80 to 85, I think the Knicks will get it done before the deadline and before the 10 days is up.
Yeah,
I'd give him $100 million. I know for a lot of people that's oh my goodness, Josh, $100 million for Emmanuel Quickly. Yes, I'm giving Emmanuel Quickly $100 million. I think the Knicks need to keep Emmanuel Quickly at all costs. They cannot let him leave. This team already has a lack of ball handling. Emmanuel Quickly he just provides that. If they let him go, unless we're bringing in top tier wing or guard talent that can be able to pull up and handle the basketball, this team is going to be lacking, especially offensively. So I think we need to keep Emmanuel Quickly at all costs, with the exception of them bringing in someone who's going to be able to handle the basketball, particularly in the starting lineup, like a Zach LaVine type.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to paying him $20 million either. $20 million, $100 million. I'm not opposed to it. And the reason why, first, salaries are obviously going up. When I look at what Josh Hart made, I just can't help but to compare it to Josh Hart. He's not the scorer as that Emmanuel Quickly is. I think Emmanuel Quickly, maybe he's a little bit better defender, but Emmanuel Quickly is a very, very good defender too. Plus, he can score the basketball. To me, I think it makes it warrant that he makes at least the same amount of money as Josh Hart and probably more. That's why I think he probably, $100 million is probably good for him.
And runner-up for Sixth Man of the Year. And another thing with the new CBA, rookie extensions can now be 5 years without it being a max contract. That is something that is new, and that's the contract that I think Vassell just got. 5 years, not max, but it was a 5-year contract. So that's another thing that the Knicks can use if they want to pay him $100 million. You give him $20 million a season. there's your $100 million.
Yeah, so we'll see where that goes. Last thing in the news before we just get on to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Julius Randle was asked about him wearing Skechers, right? The switch from Nike to Skechers, and he said it's the 4th largest shoe company in the world. Nobody talks about that. All right, so obviously, they've been giving him some news, some company information. They have a market, and they're trying to grow and tap into a different market. So the fact they want me to be a face and to trailblaze, that's huge. Any idea and activation or whatever it is, I call them, and they're all for it. I look at them as a partner, and Nike doesn't need any partners, so I'm good. So there you go. I think that tells you what you need to know. I guess he was asked about catching some flack or whatever. He said, obviously, when you do something different, there's going to be a lot of talk, but the opportunity is there. And you know what? I like it. I'm not going to lie. As long as he tested, he really had someone look in and say, let me test these shoes out to make sure that they're going to be good for me. And, I'm not going to, it's not going to hurt my feet. I'm not going to get hurt, blah, 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 blah. I like when players go outside the box and try something different. You know what I mean? I like it. And, he, mentioned that, they're giving him more creativity, stuff like that. So I like that.
That's about money, Tim. That's what this is about. I don't think, and that little nugget that he threw out there, of course they fed him that, 4th largest, and that's probably what they pitched to him.
That's what they pitched to him. That's what they pitched to him, of course.
Right. But that's all about money. That's all about money. Julius Randle was just trying to tap into a company or a sneaker company or a shoe deal that many people are not doing.
Right.
And like you said, they're giving him some decisions over creative and stuff like that. So that's what that's about.
I like that. That's good. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind it at all. As long as the sneaker is good and can protect his ankles and yeah, it's cool. Cool with me. Go get your money. Do what you got to do. What do you think, Ron?
Yeah, I'm like, why not? Why not? I was talking about it earlier. I think this is just, look, the discount season for Julius Randle is over. That's it. It's just he's now, he's played in the league for, 7-8 years now, something like that.
Yeah.
And he has, seen a lot of different things. He's heard a lot of negativity. He's kind of come out of that negative spotlight, and I think he's in a better place mentally. And he's like, look, I'm here. I'm trying to win a championship, but I've done my discounts. I've given up the opportunity to take more money so that you guys can start building something better here, and we can change this thing around. And I brought up earlier, not to mention the fact that, like, Julius decided to come here. You know what I mean? We weren't getting a lot of players that were coming here. We were still in I love doing this. I'm sorry. I hate doing this to him. We were in the Clee Anthony early days and the Alonzo Tria days. So, RJ being drafted and Julius coming here as a free agent, taking that $18 million contract for those 2 years, it was a stepping stone. It was the beginning of something we were trying to change something around here.
Yeah.
And I honestly thank him for that, because I think that was the beginning of something. So, and I think he looks at it like, yeah, I've done what I can to help this team. Yeah. Now it's about me and my family.
Yeah. Hey,
he's going to demand that Supermax contract too. Let's not forget about that. That's coming.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He's going to try to get what he can. I think that was part of the entire thing of moving from CAA. I think that was part of it. The only thing I would say about those sneakers, man, is just take the S off of there and put Julius Randle's logo on there. I don't like their logo.
Yeah. Well, and they may be I don't know
logo.
how long it takes to put that together, but maybe like he'll have to wear those initial Skechers for a little bit. Maybe after a month or a couple months into the season, they come out with his signature shoe
or something like that. Yeah. We'll see. They got to change the logo though. I like no disrespect to anyone who has a Hyundai. I don't like the logo. I've seen some of their cars that I really do like. I'm like, oh, that's a dope car, but I don't like the logo. I don't
look at the logo, people like, oh man.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, yeah, that's a dope car, and I think they make good cars, but I don't like the logo, so I won't buy one.
Slanted H.
Yeah, so I won't buy one. You know what I mean? I'm like, get out of here with that. But let's talk some Knicks and Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, I think for as far as an injury report, not really an injury report, but players who are playing, I think for the Minnesota Timberwolves, only Jaden McDaniels looks like he's going to be out. All right, he's expected to be sidelined and reevaluated in the next 7 to 10 days. And then I think Josh Hart is the only player that may not play for the Knicks. Right? I think Josh Hart is. I think so. I think. I don't know if he's going to play. I don't know if he's playing. I think he may be out tonight. Yeah. So I think those are going to be the only two guys out, unless obviously we still have an hour and a half until game time. I haven't seen anything else about anyone else. Now, I mean, the Knicks haven't played for a week. So you would think that everyone's going to play if they can play. And Minnesota hasn't played for a couple of days either. They're 2-0 in the preseason, but they haven't played for a few days. So you would think, you want your guys to get out there so they can, break that wind open, get out there and play a few minutes. I do think we're going to see, we'll continue to see low minutes for Jalen Brunson. According to Tom Thibodeau, he's been, just with Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson, just kind of monitoring them to make sure that, because of FIBA, just to make sure that they're not getting overused, right?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think you're right, Sim. They're gonna still try to keep the minutes down, but I did see that they said that Tibbs said he was going to increase his minutes.
Who? Jalen Brunson?
Because he only gave him like five minutes.
5 minutes
in
and
that
36
first
seconds
preseason
or something like that. Yeah. So Josh Hart probably be out. I guess he's a little nicked up or whatever it is. So, I think he'll probably at some time during the preseason you're gonna want to get him out there, so we can get a game in. So we can get a game in. As far as your starting lineups for the Knicks is going to be your normal starting lineups. Starting lineup: Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. As far as I know, haven't seen anything different, and I don't think Tom Thibodeau is going to change that. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Karl Anthony Towns, and Rudy Gobert. Looking at your lineups. Any thoughts about these lineups here? The matchups within these lineups? I mean, I know it's just a preseason game, but, they're still going to be looking at matchups and things like that. Any thoughts about these matchups?
I think it'll be more the same from the Knicks. I think Jalen Brunson comes out hot early, right, and then Tom Thibodeau gets him out of there before the first quarter's done. And I think we don't see him much. Same with Randle. I think Randle will probably play the same way he played before. Get him out there. Give some good minutes in the first quarter. Probably second quarter he sits out, and then sporadically in the second half. That's when we'll see Tom Thibodeau put Julius Randle back out there. So I think it'll be more the same. Very similar to last game as far as the starters.
Okay. Ron, and just a quick update. I see that the other Ron that's in the chat, Spree, said that Josh Hart is playing tonight. And I see 27 minutes ago from Steph Bondi that Josh Hart is available to play. So we will see if he's going to play, but he's available to play.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's always funky with the preseason because you don't know how long guys are going to play, if at all, because they may be available and they may not even actually get a good amount of minutes at all. Yeah. But I think the one thing I'm looking forward to is I am actually more looking at individual players and also to see if Tibbs makes an adjustment. So it's not so much the matchups. I'm more looking at how Grimes fares in the second preseason game, how Dante DiVincenzo looks if he gets a little bit more comfortable. He'll be fine, but I just want to see it. I want the fans, there's the avid fan like us who talks about this stuff and pays attention to certain things, and there's the fair weather fan that's like, looking to see if he can make a couple baskets. You know what I mean? I just want him to make a couple baskets to put those people at ease. Like Dante's a good player because they got to see it. And then, like I said, I want to see Grimes because we haven't had a chance yet.
Josh is one of those people. Josh is one of those people.
No, I'm not, Tim.
Josh is one of those people. That's why he started smirking, Ron.
I just don't like the fit. I think he's a good player. I just don't like the fit. But go ahead, Ron. I'm sorry.
I think I want to see if Grimes can start to show us some of the stuff that it looks like he might have been working on with JJ Redick. If the ball handling, the footwork, picking his spots on the court where he takes his shot, if he can slow himself down. I don't know what they talked about, actually. It's not that they got too in-depth on what they were working on, but I still think Grimes needs to slow himself down just a little bit. He's so quick. He's so quick with that shot and get just a little bit.
He even talks fast, so it's like that's him. You know what I'm saying? That's him. He's got that energy. You know what I mean? But I agree. I think he needs to slow down a little bit. That's going to help him see the game, I think, better, too. You know what I mean? And, hopefully. I did see in the first game him attempt to go off the dribble a little bit more, but I still think he's very herky-jerky, and maybe his body is moving faster than his skill set can actually allow him to do. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, that's got to come together for him. And then, of course, it's hard in that lineup for him to get those type of touches, right? He's going to get the kickouts. He's going to, be able to get the kick out where he can attack the person closing out. But he's not really going to get the ball where he can
go to work.
Exactly. He's not going to have that time with the ball in his hands. So I think it makes it hard for us to see it with him. You know what I mean? And I don't know how much he's going to play with the second unit for him to get that kind of, I don't see him playing that much with the second unit.
All right. I mean? Oh, one more thing too is also I want to see just Julius get a little bit more comfortable out there. He once again, it's one of those things where I'm not worried about it. By the time regular season starts, Julius will be fine. But it's just good to see it and see him come along because I know there's even question marks there with him. Like, how healthy is he? Is he really good? Can he push off that ankle the way we're used to seeing him do? Like, just regular stuff that someone might ask. So I just want to see a little bit more of that from him. And when I look at how he was playing out there, because I watched the game again this morning, he looked like he was moving okay. He was just still feeling himself, out, but he looked like he was moving all right.
Yeah. I thought he was moving okay. I thought the first unit actually looked pretty good together. Obviously, Jalen Brunson scored like 10 points in those 5 minutes, and he was 4 for 5 from the floor. But I thought I saw some good, some good man movement. You know what I mean? Some patience. They looked familiar with each other out there on the floor. Now when Tibbs started throwing in and, a bunch of guys, it started getting, just a little crazy out there. You know what I mean? Started getting helter-skelter and, just all kinds of stuff happening. But I thought the first unit looked pretty comfortable with one another. We seen some pick and roll from Mitchell Robinson and Jalen Brunson. You know what I mean? That was successful. Hopefully we get to see some more of that. RJ was able to get to the line. He wasn't, knocking down the shot, but he was able to get to the line, and he was 9 for 9 from the free throw line. I did see him drive right and then pull up a little floater with the left. I'd like to see him drive right a little bit more. That's good. Obviously Jalen Brunson was hitting. Quentin Grimes was kind of lost in the lineup. I don't think he got a shot off until the second unit came in. Right, so he was out there with Quickly and DiVincenzo. When those guys, I don't think he got a shot off. So, I'd like to see if he can, get a shot off, get mixed in with that lineup. I don't see Quentin Grimes having a rhythm with any of those guys yet. Like, continuity with anyone in that lineup yet. Right? Like, even when Evan Fournier was in that lineup, Julius Randle and Evan Fournier had their little two-man game that they did.
Dribble handoff game.
Little dribble handoff game. I don't see Quentin Grimes having anything with anyone yet.
Right. That's why, Sim, like the last time we talked, we were talking about expectations and different things that we were looking at from players. And one of the things I mentioned was Jalen Brunson being a big part of helping guys like Mitchell Robinson and Quentin Grimes to get more comfortable and get in tune with the offense. Like Quentin Grimes should be so deadly for us if the Knicks just use him correctly.
Yeah.
If Brunson just goes to work, creates his pattern of what he does. Maybe, well, we're talking about Knick way of thinking. So use it as Julius Randle going to work in the first quarter. I don't know if they're going to continue to do that or not, if they'll mix it up this time around. But, you know, him going to work, doing his thing, forcing the opposing team to want to double him, whatever it may be, right? And then Julius going to work, doing his thing. Just those two players alone is good enough. But if you throw RJ in there too, these guys should be putting so much pressure on the opposing defense that they should want to close off lanes, trap, do whatever they got to do so that Quentin Grimes, as he rotates around the court, is open for an easy jump shot as long as the guy on the team makes the right pass. And when he gets that, he's got to knock it down. He can really benefit from playing off of these guys. But it goes back to the point, he's got to stay ready. He's got to pick the right spots. Don't just stay in a corner somewhere because Thibodeau wants you there. I don't know about Thibodeau's offense with regards to Grimes, but he's got to be able to move around and find spots. Like some guys just know how to get to the right spot to hit that open shot when you need it. Okay, the defense is collapsing. Okay, so I got to move this that way. Brunson can see me. I'm in his eye. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just smart basketball. I don't know how to do it. I'm not on the court. I could just understand it. So I would think that would really help him get going. But he's definitely not. He is the reason why Emmanuel Quickley is still on the bench. It's because of Quentin Grimes. If Quentin Grimes' offense was a little bit more versatile, his game was a little bit more versatile right now, the Knicks would be in a much better position to be able to experiment with putting Quickley in the starting lineup. But they can't afford to do that when Grimes isn't able to take his game to the next level. Not at this point.
Yeah, no doubt. You know, with what you were saying about, you know, guys doing some things like Quentin Grimes and other guys just doing some things instinctively, you know, cuts to the basket, this, that, and the third. Just speaking as a coach, you know, you might teach those things, but guys got to be able to do it. And there's some players who do those things instinctively. And some guys, you know, I mean, you just have players who instinctively and naturally they have a certain game. And as much as you drill cut to the basket, they stand out there looking when there's a cut wide open to the basket. They stand out there and you're like, you could have cut. And he's like, oh yeah. But they just naturally, you know, do it. And then some players naturally have this instinct to cut. You know, as coaches, you got to kind of drill it and practice it and drill it and practice it so that, you know, it becomes natural. And you're still going to have some players who just naturally don't do some of those things and do other things. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the importance of just having players that have a certain, whatever style you want to play, whatever that is, bringing in players that can do those things without you even having to tell them. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, we don't know if Tom Thibodeau, how much he's telling guys to cut or not to cut. I think I saw RJ do a couple of cuts working with that first unit in the first game. There wasn't hard cuts. It was just kind of like, oh, moseying through the lane. And then he got out the lane when someone went to the basket. You know what I mean? But he made the cut. It was kind of like, this is the play, but not really I'm cutting to get the ball. You know what I'm saying?
So the last 3 years since Tom Thibodeau's been head coach, and I actually looked this stat up. I'm glad you kind of brought up the cuts thing. The last 3 years Tom Thibodeau's been head coach, the Knicks have been one of the worst teams in the NBA as far as cut frequency. They've been at the bottom of the league, right? Now, I believe personally, I believe that Tom Thibodeau tells people to cut. And like Tim, like you said, the coach can only say so much. The players have to instinctively go out and do that. But I also think that is part, for me, I think that is a part of the Knicks' issues offensively. Right, because the offense seems to be kind of free flowing, you know, depending on players to instinctively do certain things. And I think at a certain point, from an offensive perspective, the coach has to just implement certain things, certain motions to kind of get people moving. And oftentimes, that's
no, go ahead.
No, I'm saying oftentimes when we watch the Knicks, everything just seems so stagnant. We lead one of the top teams in the NBA since Tom Thibodeau's been here in time of possession, dribbles. The ball just seems to stick, and it's because I don't think we have plays or many plays in our offensive system from what I'm watching that are set up for us to have that off-ball movement. I think everything is much more free-flowing, and Tom Thibodeau, depending on those instincts from the players. And I think it needs to be a little bit more of the other thing as well, not just that.
Right. And so that's where Tom Thibodeau has to do the drilling, right? And so it really has to come in camp, because during the season, you don't get that much practice. The drilling. So if you have players where it's just not, the drilling creates the habit. So if you have a player where it's not already their habit to do these things, then if you don't drill it, they're not going to do it. And even if you do drill it, some players may not. But, if you drill it, you're going to get players that start to learn to do it, right? And those players that still don't learn it, you got to get rid of them now, because you're like, we done drilled this a million times and they still can't get it. They obviously just aren't going to do it, right? So then I guess that, that would call into question, how much do they drill it? Or is Tom Thibodeau like, I'm not drilling this stuff. I don't have time to. We need to get some players in here that do it. But if you have players that don't do it, you got to drill it. You can't just say it.
What about the third thing? What about the third thing? What if the Knicks are doing it? What if they are practicing it? But in the actual game, the offense is not set for them to even do that. It's like everyone's just stagnant because the play is so free-flowing in isolation. Look, and I gave you the numbers to back it up. The last 3 years, I mentioned the cuts. The Knicks are also one of the top teams in the NBA as far as isolation the past 3 years as well.
Right, but
so I think the numbers kind of point to the Knicks not doing it in the game.
I just think if you drill it, so two things. I think if you drill it, it kind of naturally happens. You have some players that, just – the lights come on and they forget everything. So you got to factor that in. Trust me. You got some players that in practice, they look like the greatest thing ever, and the lights come on and they forget everything. And I'm sure that happens in the NBA too. These guys like 21, 22 years old, right? And so it could be that way, where you got some players who, the pressure gets on and they can't think enough to do the things that they're supposed to do. But then, I just feel like if you don't have players that do certain things instinctively, you got to drill it. You got to drill it so that and if they're not doing it after you're drilling it, then they probably got to go. You know what I'm saying? They probably got to go. Because I would like to see more slash into the basket, more like hard cuts though, not these little. Tippy-toeing through the lane, because you're not going to get the ball that way. You're just going through the motions when you do that. You know what I mean? And, a few times in game one, I did see RJ Barrett, cut through the lane, but it just wasn't a hard cut. It was just kind of, I'm coming through, but not like you're really going to get the basketball. And what makes the cuts work, even if you don't get the ball, is every time you cut, even if you know you're not going to get the basketball, you cut like you're going to get the basketball.
Keeps the defense honest.
Keeps the defense honest. Everybody sucks in because they think you're going to get the ball. Now the ball can go someplace else. You know what I mean? So,
and Sam, ironically, when we're talking about this, from the standpoint of doing it and the standpoint of looking for it, the guy who does it the most and looks for it the most on the team is Grimes. I've seen Grimes make those cuts more than anybody else on the team. I've also seen him pass into those cuts. Like, he looks like if he gets the ball somewhere in the paint area, he's doing a little backdoor pass. Not just Hartenstein. Hartenstein does it too, but I've seen Grimes do it. And also seen Grimes break down the defense, try to get up in the air, get the defense into him, and then he'll hand it off beside him or look for the guy cut. Like, he's the guy who does do that type of stuff. So you would hope just to see more of it.
How many times have we seen Quentin Grimes break his man down, someone closing out, and he gets to the lane real quick, and then you see Obi going down the baseline for a dunk? I feel like that play, I've seen that numerous occasions. But to Sim, to your point, I think Dante DiVincenzo in his years in Golden State and Milwaukee, he was cutting a lot. So maybe, and if that's what you're talking about in regards to Dante DiVincenzo fitting what the Knicks are trying to do from an instinct perspective and IQ perspective, I can kind of see that. But I'm still putting a lot more onus on the coaching. I think the coaching and what we call offensively, it needs to be better. I think, in my opinion, I think it needs to be a little bit of both, but mostly
I agree.
From the instinct perspective, but also coaching. We gotta get some man movement out there and off ball movement, and try to get some shots up earlier in the clock.
Yeah, and you also got to have guys when people do cut. Gotta have people that are going to hit them.
Right.
Because if I cut, I have, out of 5 possessions, I cut 3 times and you didn't hit me once. That 6th possession, I'm like, I ain't cutting.
Right.
Because every time I cut and then someone else takes a shot, now my guy is running back, because you missed the shot. And now coach is looking at me like, how come you didn't get back? And I'm like, because I cut to the basket. You know what I mean? And I'm under the basket and boom, boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? So now you're like, well, I'm not going to cut because I'm not going to get hit anyway. You know what I mean? So, they, as a team, as a group, when guys do cut, you got to try to hit them when you can. And even early, it's early in the season. If you're forcing it a little bit, you might make some turnovers or whatever, but you're building like with your teammate. Okay, he's going to try to hit me. And when it's available, we're going to do it. So, let's see if it grows a little bit, and hopefully, we'll see. I know a lot of people like, oh, I've seen the same exact thing. I thought the first unit looked pretty smooth, and I seen, a little more, faster, getting the ball out of their hands a little bit more. Now, when you get better defense out there and games get tighter, let's see if you can continue to do some of those things. What are you looking to see in tonight's game?
If Josh Hart's playing, I want to see Thibodeau use let's see if that small ball 4 lineup. I want to see that out there. See if we can do that. I'm not sold on the Jericho Sims thing at the 4. I just don't like it based on how we run our offense. I think it creates more stagnation. So I want to see if Tibbs is going to put Josh Hart out there at the backup 4 or RJ perhaps, and let's see try to get a chance of seeing what that looks like.
Yeah. Ron, how did you feel about that Jericho Sims and Mitchell Robinson pairing?
I'm not like a big fan of it. I think it's maybe it can get better, but I don't really see it. Like it's really, I think that is situational.
Yeah,
I talked a lot about situational stuff earlier today and how I feel like Tibbs, the way he views situational and the way I view situational are 2 different things.
Me too.
Like he's right to a certain extent. You know what I mean? He should, like if somebody's in foul trouble, I got to go down the line. I got to pick this guy out. If somebody's hurt or if they're favoring something, I got to go down. Okay. That's the regular stuff. I like the Tibbs to be able to look at a situation in a bigger mindscape. Say we're playing a team and everything we got going on that he game planned for is working, yet we're down 8. Okay, if we're doing what we want to do out there and we're playing solid defense for the most part, yet they're still beating us because maybe they're shooting 3s and we're shooting 2s. Like they're just doing better at getting 3s up than we are. Go down the bench and say, you know what, Deuce. Let me get him in there for 4 or 5 minutes. Just see if he can kind of break the momentum that they got going on over there. Yeah. It's all just to give the other team a different look. Stop the momentum, and then maybe while Deuce is in there doing that, playing better defense on their perimeter guys that are jacking the ball up, we can get back into the game, cut that lead from 8 to 4 or even 3, whatever it is. And then you sit Deuce back on the bench, and you've made a change. Your situational movement actually did something to help the team. There's stuff like that. I would love. He's not going to do a lot of that coaching stuff, situational stuff tonight. So I'm not even going to expect to see it. But I would love to see it. I would love to see it.
And let me tell you brought up Deuce, man. I thought Deuce's defense got even better. He just D's up. He just, he's a defensive monster, man. You know what I mean? I wish his offensive game was catching up to his defensive game. But, he's just a defensive monster. And I think you got to look to use him in those type of situations. Thibodeau, Tibbs is like, he'll make some adjustments game to game if you're playing, like if you're playing the same team and you just played them last week or whatever. But in game, he's not making that many adjustments. And sometimes it's hard to make adjustments in game because things are going so fast. Things are moving. Things are going fast. Some coaches are really good at it, though. right? Eric Spoelstra is pretty good at making those in-game adjustments, but he probably also has a list of 5 different adjustments that he's going to do for a situation. And then, he pulls it out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. If this happens, if that happens, Tibbs strikes me as the kind of coach like, okay, here's the game plan that we set, and we're going to do this game plan for this game. And, very little, maybe, a small few adjustments here and there in game, but, the next adjustment is going to come, the next time we play him or in the next game or something like that. You know what I mean? He doesn't do a lot of those little things unless it's absolutely necessary.
And that's the thing I always have. That's the contention I have with Tibbs. Like these are the type of I think Tibbs, and I don't want to get on the whole Tibbs thing. I think Tibbs has improved. I think what we saw from Tibbs last year, especially in the regular season, was good signs. He was making a lot more decisions and choices that we hadn't necessarily seen him do before with the Knicks. He was benching people when they needed to get benched. He was taking stars out the game and just doing what he felt he needed to do. Great. That's a good stride. I like that. Good plan. Goes back to just understanding the situation you're in before it gets out of hand. Because once it gets out of hand, now you lost your moment. You can't do it now. You got to still kind of, stick with what you know. But when there's a moment where you can put a deuce in there to do this. Or if it's the opposite, if it's the reverse, we're playing good defense, they're still able to get these shots off. We can't hit anything. Fournier, 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Get out there, see if he can catch lightning in a bottle. Hit me 2-3 threes. That's it. Bye-bye, Fournier. Thank you. You got us back in the game. Now we go from here. Like, this is not. That's why I'm like, what's all these 18 coaches sitting behind me? What are they doing? Like,
and I'm glad you brought up Fournier, because another thing that I'm looking to see tonight is, now that we know Josh Hart is available, does Fournier even play? Oof. Right? Did Fournier play just because Josh Hart wasn't there, so he kind of took Josh Hart's minutes? Or was Tom Thibodeau really looking to see, can this guy give me anything? I personally don't believe. I think it was just because Josh Hart wasn't there. But I'll be looking to see tonight, does Fournier get any playing time? If Josh Hart plays, does Fournier play?
Although, real quick, I was just going to say, Sim, there's still a good chance that Fournier could play, because if you remember the game, the fourth quarter, it's like the whole bench played.
Right.
So they played
The
practically the whole fourth quarter. You know what I mean?
So, yeah. But so I guess I'd be looking to see if, like, is he one of the first guys to come in? Right? Does he look to say, all right, well, let me look at a lineup instead of Sims. Let me look at a lineup of Dante DiVincenzo, IQ, Josh Hart, Evan Fournier, and Isaiah Hartenstein. Right? Maybe he looks at that. I mean, you're going small anyway with Josh Hart out there. You're going small. Even if you would have put RJ at the backup 4, you're still going small. Maybe he does that. Look and see if he does that. Also, I want to see, does he play? Last game, I don't think RJ played any backup 4. It was all Jericho Sims out there with Mitchell Robinson and Hartenstein, right? So see if he looks to put RJ at the backup 4, see what that looks like. I mean, I think he already knows what that looks like, but so those are some things that I'll be looking forward to seeing tonight. Do you think that lineup could work with Evan Fournier in that second unit? Jericho Sims out, Fournier in the second unit, Josh Hart playing the power forward.
I'm not sold on. Okay, Sam. I'm going to be quite frankly honest with you. I think this roster is completely unbalanced right now because of the multitude of guards that we have that can all do the same thing, and the lack of a true backup 4, right, or the athleticism at the backup 4. I don't think Sims will work at the backup 4. I'm not sold on Hart working at the backup 4, and I'm not sold on RJ working at the backup 4. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. If I had to pick one, I'll go with either the Hart or the RJ one rather than Sims. But I am afraid that because Tibbs is so much about the defensively and protecting the rim and stuff like that, he's going to fall in love with the Sims backup 4 lineup. I think that's what's going to happen instead of him going with RJ or Hart there, in my opinion. But I'm not sold on any of them at the backup 4, honestly.
Yeah. I mean,
it's tough. I don't know. I guess I agree with Josh, because I just think it's our backup 4 options, even if we go small, they still got that handicap that they're just, they're struggling to get through. They can't shoot. So if Josh Hart, and I think Josh Hart can shoot. I don't know. I think it's a confidence issue with him because I've seen Josh Hart when he played at other teams. He played much better than I'm seeing him offensively with the Knicks. But that's whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's different now, or maybe he's not the same player. I feel like it's a confidence thing. But Josh Hart and RJ Barrett being those 2 options, they can't shoot. So how do you take advantage of that matchup from a Knicks standpoint? Like from opposite, if they're trying to play a guy who actually is 6'9" or taller and can out rebound them, maybe Josh can still fight. But you know what I mean? He's going to out rebound RJ Barrett. But if RJ could stretch the floor, pull that big out and knock down some threes, some perimeter shots, then it benefits the Knicks. But when these guys are not hitting perimeter shots, I don't see how can you even keep the defense honest? How can you make that big play you to the point where you can drive by him if he's giving you the outside shot? He's not going to let you get by him. It's just you got to prove it. That's the type of stuff I'm looking for, to see if they can figure out a way to make it work where you keep the defense honest. Because if you don't keep the defense honest, I think it's a disadvantage to the Knicks.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of I don't want to say I'm not a fan. I only see it happening in situations. The Jericho Sims and Mitchell Robinson, right? Excuse my dog back there sneezing. I don't know what she's doing. I don't know what's going on, right? But and if you're gonna do it, I think in order to keep the floor spread, you have to use those guys in unison, like I was saying before, Josh. Have them set double screens, right? So now you have them close together, and you don't have one of their players laying off in the paint or something like that. So if the ball handler is at the top of the key, and you have 2 guys coming up to set a screen, now you got their defenders coming up, and now you got all of a sudden you got the lane open, right? You got guys in the corners, and maybe you can create some havoc that way if you can get off one of those screens and get in the lane. So I think you'd have to use them that way to help open up the floor. If you're not going to use them that way, it's going to be super duper clunky. Both of those guys trying to occupy the same dunker spot. It's not going to work. It's not going to work unless you're playing another team that has just 2 big clunky guys out there. Which
when do we see that in
much,
today's NBA?
Right? You're not going to see it that much in the NBA. You know what I mean? So but listen, I don't. I think you had to look at it and try it. Let me see what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let me see what it looks like, and if it's something that I can put in my back pocket to be able to use, at some point or another. You know what I mean? Let me see what it looks like. I think he'll probably see it again tonight, but I think he's gonna maybe try something else. He's experimenting. I think he has a little bit more rope to experiment now. He probably has to because of like what Josh was saying about the lineup. So he has to do some experimenting.
Roster,
but with the starting unit kind of being set, he can play around with the second unit. He's not looking to see, am I going to put someone in that unit right now? He can play around with the second unit a little bit, and see if there's something that he can catch on to until he can get another power forward in here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you've been following Obi to know what he's doing over in Indiana?
I was just going to mention Obi. I haven't really been following him that much, but my reluctance to well, not reluctance, but I don't know the correct word to use, but my disdain for what the roster looks like right now has nothing to do with saying, well, we should have kept Obi. It has nothing to do with that. So I don't want people to say, oh, Josh, you talking about Obi. Obi's already long gone. But to answer your question, no, Sim, I haven't been keeping up with Obi. But I know his first game, he scored, 7 points or something?
7 points. First game, I watched the first quarter. He had like 7 of the first 10 or 12 points or something like that. He played 15 minutes. So I think he had like 7 points, 4 rebounds. He had 2 fast break buckets and 1 3. The last game, I watched some of the last game, but I didn't really, pay attention to it that much.
He's a starter there, right?
Yes. Yep. He's starting. He's starting. They're starting power forward. Ron, have you watched any?
No, I've actually been interested to kind of see what he did, but I didn't watch. But now that you bring it up, I'm just looking at the box score of the game. It looks like the second game he had 8 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, should I say? Now, listen, 8 points and 6 rebounds for Obi in 18 minutes. The 6 rebounds is kind of good. You know,
Yeah.
it's good to see. He was 3 of 7 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3. And 1 of 2 from the free throw line. So it's all about him also finding a comfort level and getting used to being on that squad and them knowing what he likes and what he can do. So it might take a little while before we see, you know, what his full potential can grow into over there.
Right.
But I gotta say, I feel bad for Obi in a way because I feel like this guy is always in a situation that you think would benefit him, but maybe it doesn't because that kid, Jarris Walker, is a baller. Yeah. And they're playing the same spot. And let me tell you, listen, if I had to choose between Obi and Jarris Walker, I think Jarris Walker is going to win that battle in the end. So I hope Obi could do something to kind of become a mainstay and show that he's the guy. But, you know, I don't know.
I don't know. You know, I think Tyrese Halliburton hasn't been playing, right? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know if those two will have any kind of chemistry or not, but you know, we'll see. I'm pretty sure there's gonna a lot of people, no matter which way he goes, he has a really good season or not a really good season. You know what I mean? People are gonna be up in arms either way. You know, I told you Obi was no good, or I told you he was gonna be a star. Either way. You know what I mean?
We got to wait to see how they play. Because this team, when you just look at who they got on paper, they don't got a lot of guys who can go get it on their own. They got some. They do have some. But they got a lot of guys that I think you have to create the right system and you know, those guys have to play within the system. Yeah. So we'll see. Because like Bruce Brown and Obi Toppin, like they're going to have to be out there running. And when they get to running, that's when we'll see Indiana at their best, I think.
And either way, I mean, Obi's not better than Julius Randle. All right. So I mean, the Knicks, I think they had to make the decision, or the alternative would be you wait whatever amount of years it's going to take for Obi to become that star, and you move on from Randle. So which one do you want, Knicks fans who feel that way? You know, Obi, we should have kept Obi, or we should have, you know. He's not better than Randle. That's the reason why the Knicks made that decision. Like it is what it is.
It is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I do want to remind you we have 2 tickets left. Actually, they were just freed up. So 2 tickets have freed up for the Knicks versus Cavs on November the 1st. They were gone, but they freed up. So if you want to attend the game, there's 2 tickets that you can get. All right, so make sure you get them now. The game is November the 1st, just 2 weeks away. $155 per ticket. We're at Center Court, sections 223, 224, 225. There's a link in the description of the video. There's also one pinned to the top of your YouTube chat. All right, you're not going to get them at that price anyplace else. I can promise you that. All right, let me get to a phone call real quick. Caller, you're live. Big Bubba, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, son?
Say caller. It's Big Bubba. I mean, I could hear him breathing through the phone while I'm talking to you guys. I had to mute his line.
First of all, I wasn't even breathing. Well,
I hope you are breathing.
I hope you are.
Come on, brother. Don't start with me, sister. This is how it starts.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Man?
What's going on, y'all?
What's up with you? How you feeling?
No, I feel good, man. I'm really excited for the season, man. So I haven't been on. I got a new job, yeah. So I've been working a lot, but I'm excited for the season.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
I'm super. I watched the first game.
Yeah.
You know, Brunson looked good. A couple of them quickly look good. You know, I'm always scared, Sim, of guys in contract years. I'm always scared. But
I mean,
listen, man.
I mean, quickly was doing it before. I mean, Quickly's a worker, man. I don't think you're gonna see Quickly just all of a sudden have some kind of special work ethic or season just because it's a contract year. I think he's a worker. He wants it. He goes and gets it.
No, he definitely does. And you know, there's got a few things got to deal with. But man, listen, you know, the season starts soon, and listen, Knicks got some good pieces, man, and we got some. I believe the Knicks got to just keep the momentum going from last year, carry that over to this season, and make some noise. What's going on?
I'm just laughing at you because at the end of last season, this is not the way you were sounding.
Hey, sometimes you get
sounding like this at all.
You're upset. And things, your emotional things happen, man.
Yeah. It wasn't sounding like this at all at the end of last
I'm
season.
gonna say this though, Sim. Look. I'm gonna say this.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Knicks got a good chance to go to the East Coast.
Oh boy, here we go.
a sneaky good chance. Good chance.
Oh man, I'm trying to just get out of preseason before I make any predictions on what the season looks like.
Yeah, but listen, man. I think the Knicks got something.
Seasons, predictions, and this and that. I want to see preseason first. I'm not even thinking about the Eastern Conference Finals. I just want to see them get out of the preseason, see what they look like, get the game won, and get through the first month of the season. Because
we got a tough month, man.
Yeah.
We got a tough first month. But I really do think the Knicks can do good, man. But like you said, it does start in preseason. I would really love to see RJ go off on a good start. I would love to see that. Randall's going to give you what he gives you. Brunson, I believe, is going to give you what you give you. Man, I think right now, man, I'm going to say it again, man. I think it's on RJ, man. RJ can take this team to a different level. I'm going to be real. I'm a big RJ guy. And what's the name? Josh knows I'm a big guy. But I'm going to be real. If he's not efficient this year, I might have to wash my hands of him. We need an efficient.
The same thing the last 2 years, Bubba, at the beginning of the season. So.
Hey. Listen, Josh, okay.
East Blue Drew said, hell yeah, we're going to the finals with Sims at the backup 4.
Hey, Big Bubba, I'm going to hit you with it is what it is right now. Yo, pause, man. What do you mean Josh knows you're a big guy? Calm down, B.
Whoa, man. Here we go, man. Here we go. Listen, man. Don't get Sim started, man. You stop it. Don't get Sim started.
Hey, yo,
but no. You guys, what? Oh, come on, man. It's not even the season started yet, man.
Huh?
The season didn't even start yet, man. I get the noise. That's crazy, man. Oh, man. I get it twice. That's crazy, man. No, but listen, man. It's RJ, man. Look. If RJ doesn't have a good season, I will admit to that. Look, I'm one of the only people here that will say this, that I will admit that Josh is right. If he doesn't have a good season this season,
all right.
I will do it at the end of the season.
What does a good season look like from RJ to you?
All right, you want me to be realistic? I'm gonna be realistic.
You gonna be realistic? All right.
If RJ gives me 21, 6, and 3 on 44 to 45%.
What if he gives you 18, 5, and 2 on 40%?
That's not a good season. I can't do that.
43%.
43?
Yeesh.
Yeah. 43 from the field and 40 from 3.
I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that.
Right, and it's the same thing over and over again, right? He's going to give you just a little bit to try to sell you and make it seem like.
I mean, the 40 from 3, I can't complain.
I mean, if he's at 40 from 3, and what percent did you say from the field, Josh?
43 from the field, 40 from 3.
That's damn good, actually.
That's not bad,
Josh.
Josh.
That's what I'm saying.
Man.
Like,
okay, 43.
No, it's not bad. But I'm saying I'm using those numbers in regards to what Bubba said, his expectations of a good season, right? So that's not quite at the level with what Bubba said, but to y'all, that's a pretty good season, right? Right.
But I mean, but being realistic, Josh, I mean, he's the third option. That's not bad for a third option.
Is he though? I don't think he's the third option. I think Quickly's the third option.
I beg to disagree, but
I guess the thing about that is RJ, well, I mean, if Quickly's going to get 30 minutes, he's got to play some time with the first group too. I guess we got to see how those minutes pan out, right? But RJ plays most of his minutes with the first unit, Quickly most of his minutes with the second unit.
And at the end of the games, Tibbs took out RJ for Quickly down the stretch of last season.
Down the stretch of the
season.
season.
Last
Down
season.
the stretch of the season.
In the regular season, not in the playoffs.
Down the stretch of the game. Down the stretch of the game.
Well, Quickly was hurt in the playoffs. Remember that?
Yeah.
And then in that the first couple games when Quickly was out there, RJ was on the floor, but Tom Thibodeau had to put Quickly on the floor because of that ball handling thing, and they changed up a lot of what Cleveland was doing. Now, Quickly himself.
I mean, to be fair though, Quickly had a very bad playoff. Very bad. It wasn't good. It was very bad. I mean, I'm gonna say this: RJ was the second best player in the playoffs for us.
He played well in the playoffs. Yeah. He can't front. He played very well in the playoffs. No doubt about it. He did his thing in the playoffs last year.
So again, listen, man. I mean, look, I don't wish bad on these players, even though people think I don't like Randall. I mean, look, I want Randall to do good, man. I think even for me with Randall, it's just I want to see him in the playoffs. Like, to me, so far, we know Brunson can play in the playoffs, and so far RJ can play in the playoffs, and Mitch, to a certain degree, can play in the playoffs. Everybody else, you know what I'm saying, we don't know. So you got 2.5 guys that can play in the playoffs on the team right now.
I think the sample size is still too small. I think the jury is still out with that. Now, Randall, if you want to say Randall has not performed well in the playoffs, it's been, 2 years, right? And he hasn't performed well, I'm with you there. But I still think that small sample size that we've seen from RJ, what was it? How many games? 10 games? Or whatever it was, that's still a very, very small sample size. I get it, the playoffs, but you can't really chalk that up as if, he's arrived. He's going to be in the playoffs, a good playoff.
No, Joe, I don't think he's arrived. I just think, listen, when you're going against a team that made it to the finals and you played well against that team, besides game 6.
Yeah.
Then you can't really. I can't say that he's not. That counts for something.
Yeah,
of course.
But see, look, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to skip steps. I'm trying to get through the preseason, get through the season, because there's a lot of building that has to be done just to get to the playoffs. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. No, I'm with you.
We like, hey, the play. Like, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that has to be done. I mean, they got to get to the playoffs because by the as the season goes on, you could look and be like, certain guys gonna have great seasons, terrible seasons, good, whatever. I mean, I understand what you're saying. For Randall to go to the next, take his game to the next level and start to be mentioned amongst certain players and things like that. That's where he's got to do it. But we got a lot of work to get there first.
100%. And so I'm gonna be real too. Look, I'm not even gonna say what I want to say because I think next year this whole team's gonna be different. But that's another show. Yeah, and that's another thing.
We're going way far. Let's get through preseason game.
Let's get through this season.
It hasn't started yet.
Look, I'm already talking about next year. Nah. Hey, but Sim, I just wanted to say one thing before I go. Two things before I go. Two things.
Yeah.
First thing first, I just want to say happy birthday to my lady.
Oh, happy birthday!
It was her birthday on the 10th. We went to go see Lauryn Hill.
Mrs. Josh.
You've been talking a lot of crazy stuff, man. I'm gonna see you.
Wait, I said Mrs. Josh. I meant to say Mrs. Isaiah.
Let me say, hey, you gonna be at the game?
What's going on,
Josh?
He wasn't supposed to find
out this way. My bad.
Hey. You gonna be at the game?
No, you ain't seeing me in person. Nah.
I better not. I better not. But so I say happy birthday to my lady, man. We went, I took her to the wine. I took her to the vineyard, Sam.
Okay.
I took her to the vineyard, and we went to go see Lauryn Hill. Friday. We went to go see Lauryn Hill Friday.
All right, that's dope.
Oh, nice.
She was amazing, by the way. That's why she's one of the greatest female. She is the greatest female rapper of all time.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I just want
I
to say
have her
I'm
as
super
one of the
excited.
greatest I have her as one of the greatest rappers of all time, in my opinion. But
Well,
so
no,
that's why,
me too.
so
I
that's
just
why
want
I
to say,
gotta
but she's the number one greatest female rapper, hands down.
So that's why I gotta let you borrow $155.
Oh, wait.
Spend all your money on Lauren Hill tickets and taking your girl
First of all, why?
to the venue.
Why are you doing this?
That's why I
I'm
gotta
gonna call
let
you
her
later.
borrow 155. Okay.
I'm gonna call you later because that was just unnecessary. That was just unnecessary, man. I'm gonna hang up now.
Yeah, Big Bubba, I gotta let you go because we about to get ready for the
I'm not. I just want to know I'm not borrowing money from that man. All right, it's on layaway. That's it.
Right. All right.
All right, have a good one, man.
Later. Yeah, boy. All right. Any predictions on anything for tonight's game? Not just win or loss, but any predictions or thoughts about some things you might see tonight?
Jalen Brunson starts off the game like he did the last one. Hot, makes his first 4 shots or whatever. They get him out of there. I think Randall starts off a little bit better than he did the last game. And I think the Knicks are going to get in transition a little bit more, particularly with Josh Hart being back.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Ron?
I predict pain. No. I think same kind of thing. Like I said, I just want to see how they move around on the court, if they have better spacing, and things look a little better out there. I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks lose tonight. And I'm not saying that because of the fact that they're gonna lose. Saying I think the Knicks will be concentrating on, working on some sets and just trying out different things to see how it looks before, prior to getting ready for the game 4, which you guys know before is usually that tune-up game when it's real. So I wouldn't be surprised if they lose tonight's game just because of the fact that winning is not the priority. It's all about doing different things on the court and seeing how we flow as a unit, as an offense. Now, if they win, even better. But I just think they're going to be focusing on just running their offense and their defensive sets and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me get to one last phone call before we get out of here and let people get ready for the game. Kareem, what's poppin' with you, brother? How you feeling?
Hey, what's up, fellas? How's it going?
Pretty good, man. I'm feeling good.
Hey, what up, Kareem?
Like a barbecue chicken type of season, man.
What up, OG?
I hope so.
Good, bro. How's it going, bro? Hey, shout outs to Big Bubba for getting that job at Big Bubba Subs and Burgers. Shout out to him. Doing his thing out here, dude. Yeah. You know what's funny? This fan base, it can be hilarious at times, right? So we want to pick and choose judging someone's player evaluation based off of who we like and who we don't like. So, for example, we could sugar honey iced tea on Randall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or on other players, right? But this dude RJ Barrett been in the league 5 years. We still giving him excuses because a large part of the fan base likes him. Like it's hilarious. First of all, bro, you know how RJ gonna be a star. He got a Puma shoe deal. Once I seen that, I was like, Kevin Knox got that too. It's over, bro. Role player. Like, let's stop. Nike didn't. Puma came to him, bro.
I mean, Skechers came to Randall. What's that say about Randall?
Yeah, that's crazy. Was that before the breakout season?
That's been after the breakout season.
Was that after he heard his foot? That's crazy. Yeah, but it's like, and then even like I like what Josh said as far as sample size is concerned. Like, I give Randall a pass last year. He should have never came back with that ankle.
Yeah,
like he should have just sat down, but he chose to play. You understand what I'm saying? So, okay, cool. And I ain't gonna lie, for what he gave, the shot he was actually hitting his shots. He wasn't cold, but then he went down again. With hitting that ankle, man. Twisting his ankle on someone else's foot, man. But it's like, bro, I don't see what
Bam Adebayo was taking out everybody.
And he laid on Quickly's leg too.
Yeah, and
I hope he tears his ACL and his Achilles and shit.
Yeah, Yeah, Bam Adebayo was taking out everybody in
Yeah, him and Lowry, man, doing dirty work.
Dirty.
But it's like, bro, here's the thing, right? I get it. RJ Barrett played great in the playoffs, right? I give him that, you know. But honestly, for RJ Barrett to bring his game to the next level, he has to bring up those shooting percentages.
100%.
You understand what I'm saying? But when you look at his mechanics, first of all, he needs to get with somebody that specializes in some kind of kinesiology or scientific movement, because he moves. The way he moves as a player is preventing his shot from being efficient. He's not fast. He has flat feet. He's not fast. He's not blindingly quick. So it's like, bro, if you had what he does have is that brute strength, and at least if you have that shot consistently, you muscle your way to your spots. Like, there's been plenty of players that weren't quick, and they're damn near Hall of Fame players. I could think of Paul Pierce. He wasn't blindly quick, but he could get to those spots, you know, using strength and understanding angles on the floor, man. But it's just like, let's get fair assessments, man. I get it. Like, we want to make judgments based off of not liking a player, but it's like, that's not fair at all, man. That's not fair at all, you know. And there's a lot of criticism to go around with this team.
Yeah. Let me ask this real quick. What are our expectations from Randall in the playoffs?
Well, he has to be the number 2 to Brunson.
Mm-hmm.
So if you average in 20, if he's going to give us his 24, 10, 11, and 6, he has to give us 30 plus in the playoffs. Like my man Brunson went super sane last year, bro.
He did.
And I told people, I remember when I called and I said, watch Brunson jump from 16 points to, I don't know, but I'm like, all right, y'all must not have watched Dallas like that previous year. I don't know, TVs must not have been working at the time, you know.
Yeah. Here's
people
the reason
in their
why
COVID bunkers.
Here's the reason why I'm asking this, because in Miami, against Cleveland, the Knicks took Cleveland out. He didn't play well.
Yeah.
Right, he had 19 points, 10 rebounds first game, 22 points, 8 rebounds second game. Right? Then he had 11 points, 8 rebounds, 7 points. Then he had 13 points. He didn't dress in game 6, in game 1 versus Miami. In game 2 versus Miami, 25 points, 8 assists, 12 rebounds. In game 3, he had 10 points, 14 rebounds. In game 4, 20 points, 9 rebounds. Game 5, 24 points. Or game, what was this?
5. No, you're right. I think it's game 5. You're right.
Yeah, game 5, 24 points, 5 rebounds. Right? I mean, he actually played better versus Miami than he did versus Cleveland.
Yeah, he did.
True.
Right?
True.
You know, I mean, there was some, you know, I mean, he shot, 44%, 61%, 53% from the field. He had a couple of stinkers, though, 26%, 21%. I guess I'll say, looking at these numbers, hopefully you can get to the consistent 25 and 12, 25 and 10. You know, that's there every single night, right?
Yeah, you have to. Like, you can't average less than your season average in the playoffs. And I will say this, one thing I will give RJ credit for, right? You know why he's been successful in the playoffs? Because even again in that Atlanta series, he wasn't bad, right? You know what RJ does? He takes what he is great at, like driving, and he just ramps it up. He doesn't try to do anything he's not good at. You understand what I'm saying? And then Randall has to understand, like, first of all, we all know what Randall, his mental, bro, that's as far as he goes. And you can't overthink. Like, we already know in the playoffs, the ball movement slows down tremendously at times. The court gets smaller. So, dude, you a bully people, man. You know, it's like he gets bullied at times. And it's like, dude, like, are you the same player?
Yeah.
You know, so it's just, so I will give RJ that, man. Like, he takes what he does well and he ramps it up. You know, he's very good with it in the playoffs.
You know, I just asked that because he didn't play well in the playoffs. There's no doubt about it. But in retrospect, when you go back and look at it, you say, well, it wasn't the albatross that it seemed like it was when we were watching it. I mean, even for me, it was like, dang, where is he? And I guess because we were expecting him to have some of those big 30-point nights, right? You know what I'm saying? And he didn't have those. But, you know, I mean, against Miami, he had some decent nights against Miami, to be honest with you, right? 2 of them weren't good, but the other ones were actually pretty decent nights. You know, if he can figure out how to make those more consistent, so every night, you know, you're dependent on him for that. He's going to give you the 25 and 10. You know what I mean? Every single night. But, you know, in retrospect, you look at it like, okay, well, he did have he had a few decent games against.
He was better than that Atlanta year. That's what I was saying. He looked a lot better.
And then he did that versus Miami on a bum ankle too.
Yeah, and so he went down. Once I seen him go down, I was like, oh man.
Yeah, so you know,
my son Brunson went super sane on him.
Real quick, I just wanted to say, making me look at that right now. Yeah, we were kind of caught up in the moment. He actually wasn't that bad in that Miami series. Except for those two stinkers. He actually looked like he might have turned the corner as far as how he plays, and the fact that we know now that his ankle wasn't. Maybe what we worried about as far as can he step up in the playoffs doesn't. Maybe he's fine. He just needs to be healthy.
Yeah,
I agree. I was saying that when I seen him in that Miami series, I was like, okay. I don't know, maybe it was like a certain thought process that you know started behind the scenes, but he was focused, bro, because we know who we playing against, and also like Eric is a phenomenal coach, so I knew that series was going to be challenging. But yeah, he got to, just like RJ got to prove people wrong. Randall has to prove people wrong. But that's the only way to win the fan base, man.
Yeah, no
Put
doubt.
Up and shut up.
And then, you know, like we say, you know, with the mental, I'm pretty sure, you know, his anxiety probably goes up a level, you know, now that we're in the playoffs. You know what I mean? And he probably had it in his mind too, like, damn, last year the last time we was in the playoffs, I was terrible. I gotta be better. You know, and Randall, you know, when he gets in his own brain, you know, but he said he's been listening to Bruce Lee quotes. It's gonna be like water this year.
Was that before or after the sketchy deal?
Hey, maybe the sketchy deal put him in the right place. You know,
was it the orthopedic sketches too?
He's rocking the Air Orthos. Got the Air Orthos,
baby. We need to do better, bro.
Anyway, hey, Kareem, I appreciate it, man.
Hey, Sim, before I go too, man, and shout outs to all of y'all, man. I told you Josh made a great point, and I said this, man. My man, quickly be on the lookout. That boy's gonna beat all defensive teams, man, in the near future, bro. I told you it was a game that I was watching last season, right? Quickly was in the paint, right? The big man, I don't know if it was either Miami, Milwaukee, and the big man came in the paint, bro. IQ picked him up twice and forced him to pass that ball back up when he could have just shot over IQ. But IQ cut off his angles, everything, arm movement. Telling you, that boy is the truth defensively, man.
Yeah, he is, no doubt. Hey, Kareem, I appreciate you, man.
Shout out to y'all. Bubba Subs, they'll be sponsoring the game on the first, too, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. Big Bubba Subs.
All right, shout out to y'all. Have a good night.
Yeah. East Blue Drew told Randall to wear some Ewings. Listen, do not wear Ewings in the game. They're heavy. They're just as heavy as Tim's. All right? I got a few pair of them. Don't wear Ewings in the game. Them joints as heavy as a bug. It's not working. Anyway, I'm going to be back for the post-game show, ladies and gentlemen. Ron, any last words before we get out of here?
Just, man, I hope that the real sketcher, Julius Randle, has lights on the back or something. It needs something. Got to give it something.
A little wheel on the bottom. You're saying he can get up the court a little bit faster.
That'd be crazy seeing Julius wheeled. Listen, man, I appreciate y'all. Thank you, Sim, once again for having me on the show. Appreciate you. Hey, listen, if y'all haven't checked it out, hey, NBA wrap up this past Thursday.
No doubt.
Yeah, Anya Labella, really good, talented artist. Check it out, man. Half hip hop, half NBA.
Yeah.
All good content.
It's dope. It's dope. Josh?
Salute to the MBK family. Salute to the chat. I just want to give a shout out to Hard Will for the Love of the Game podcast. This is his merch, his hoodie that I'm wearing. So definitely go check that out. Check out For the Love of the Game podcast and hit him up and get you some dope merch.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Go get it. Go get it. Don't worry about it. Just go get it.
That's it.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here. We'll catch you tonight after the game on the post-game show. Yeah, let's go Knicks. We out. Peace.
This is MBK.
All right, fellas, let me go get something to eat.
Yeah, me too, man.
See you on the post game.
I hear you.
All right.
I hear you.
No doubt about it. Peace.